Okay, so let's talk about something really interesting that's happening on social media right now. For years, right, brands have poured money into influencers to tell you what to buy. But what happens when the most powerful voice isn't the one selling you something, but the one telling you to save your money?
It sounds a little backward, doesn't it? I mean, we are constantly being sold to, 24/7. But a new trend is completely flipping that on its head. And the power it has is, well, it's pretty fascinating. We're going to break down the psychology and the surprising data behind it.
But before we can get into why telling someone not to buy is so effective, we really have to understand why influencer marketing became this billion-dollar beast in the first place. What was the original promise?
So at its core, influencer marketing wasn't just, a new version of a celebrity endorsement. The whole idea was to use regular people who had built a real community online, to act as a trusted friend, giving you a recommendation. It felt way more personal, way more direct.
And this is the secret sauce. This is why it worked so incredibly well. The entire model was built on these three pillars. It was supposed to feel like getting advice from a friend who gets you, not some faceless corporation trying to sell you stuff. That was the magic.
But you know how it goes. As the industry got bigger and bigger, that original promise started to get a little blurry. The constant ads, the undisclosed sponsorships, it all started to create this feeling of exhaustion and, frankly, a lot of skepticism.
And yep, there's actually a name for this feeling, influencer fatigue. It's that moment you're scrolling and your brain just goes, ugh, not another ad. It's a very real thing, a state of being totally overwhelmed and a little cynical about what you're seeing online.
And look, this isn't just a vibe. The data here is crystal clear. Almost half of consumers, a full 45%, say the biggest problem is a lack of transparency. When you can't tell if a review is genuine or just a paid spot, the trust that the whole system was built on, it just starts to fall apart.
This quote from an academic journal just nails it. It's not just about seeing too many ads. There's an actual emotional cost. This constant stream of stuff that just doesn't feel real leads to a genuine sense of burnout, and we all just start to tune out.
So what happens when millions of people get fed up? They don't just log off. No, they fight back with a trend that has totally shaken the marketing world to its core.
And here it is, de-influencing. It's exactly what it sounds like. Instead of pushing the next must-have viral product, creators started making videos explaining why you shouldn't buy it. They'd critique it, offer up cheaper alternatives, or just call out the hype for what it was.
And it just exploded. The hashtag has over 76 million views on TikTok alone. So this is not some small niche thing. It's a full-blown cultural movement, especially with Gen Z, who are just starved for that authenticity we were talking about. When you put them side by side like this, the difference is just night and day. Influencing is all about selling you an aspirational dream. De-influencing is about grounding you in reality with an honest critique. One is about getting a brand partnership, the other is about building real, long-term credibility.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but does it actually work? Is telling someone not to buy something really more powerful than telling them they have to have it? Well, the data is kind of shocking.
So let's put them to the test, head to head. A glowing, positive, you need this review versus a critical, save your money review. Which one actually has more sway over your decisions?
Well, the numbers really don't lie. A staggering 67% of social media users say a negative review has the power to sway their purchasing decision. That's compared to just 60% for a positive review. It's official. Critical content is more influential.
And you know, a 7-point gap might not sound like a huge number, but in the world of marketing and persuasion, that is a massive difference. It taps into something called negativity bias. Our brains are just hardwired to pay more attention to negative information than positive.
And this is where you see the real-world impact. Over the last 6 months, a full quarter of followers were convinced not to buy a product because of a de-influencing post. Now compare that to the 18% who were convinced to buy something. The power to talk someone out of a purchase is clearly stronger.
So who are the people listening to this? Well, their profile is pretty fascinating. They are super engaged online, usually daily TikTok users. But here's the kicker, the big paradox. The very people most swayed by de-influencing are also the most skeptical of influencers in general. They're smart and they're paying attention.
Okay, so where does all this leave us? It means the game has completely changed. The old rules of just pushing product after product, they're over.
And here's the #1 takeaway.
Authenticity is no longer a marketing buzzword. It's everything. In this new creator economy, it is the most valuable currency a person can have. Period.
So what this really boils down to is a massive power shift. For us as consumers, it proves that our skepticism has real power in the marketplace. For brands, it's a huge wake-up call that being transparent isn't optional anymore. And for creators, it shows that building long-term credibility can be worth way more than a single sponsorship deal. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In a world that is just drowning in ads, where everyone is trying to sell you something, maybe the most trusted voice, the most valuable voice, is the one that has the courage to simply say, hey, you don't actually need this. What do you think?